thing I wanted to talk about today, or this week, I guess. If you hear things in the background, that's actually my dog. Right, the thing you're seeing right now is a painting I did from imagination of Widowmaker and Reaper from Overwatch. I'm sort of satisfied with it, but I don't know, it's okay. But it's the only thing I have recorded for the YouTube video, so I have to roll with it. What to talk about? So something that I wanted to talk about, I actually haven't written it down this time, which is it's much better. Always being uncomfortable, right? Hardly ever is there a time where I'm drawing and I'm not uncomfortable with the drawing, right? Because I know that if I'm comfortable with drawing what I'm doing, it's just I'm not learning from it ever. I'm not learning from it hardly anything, right? Like imagine if I was just drawing the same head from the same angle with the same proportions every time. That's not gonna do anything for me. Maybe the first time, right? When it's the very first time I've drawn it, but it's not gonna do anything for me, especially if I know how to do it already, right? But imagine if I spent those 100 heads, even if I think they're bad, doing things that I'm not comfortable with, like extreme perspective or with certain proportions I never do, or something like that, right? As long as I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to do it or not, will allow me to grow and allow me to become a better artist in the long run. I think that's what really separates the people that get better really quickly and stay stagnant for a long time, or their progress is really slow. It's because they're not drawing outside the comfort zone, or simply just not paying attention to their own mistakes. But that's a whole nother thing to talk about, right? Being uncomfortable, it makes sense why we don't want to do it. It's because, you know, it doesn't feel good, or it's hard to push through. But if you do it enough, it will become a normal thing, right? So it's kind of, you get comfortable with being uncomfortable, which is a little weird, but it's what really allows you to become a lot better, a lot faster. But don't get me wrong, right? Getting better still takes a long time, right? The amount of time you spend learning how to draw or the amount of time you need to spend in order to become good at drawing is super long, and there's never a time where you're not learning, right? Drawing takes a lifetime to be able to get good at, right? Like for me, I look at people like Ian McKegg or John Singer Sargent, right? And they are amazing, and they literally dedicated so much time into just drawing or painting, into getting better at this craft. There's so many hours put into that. I'm 100% sure of that. And I think when people start, they don't think about that. It's like, oh, I want to draw and I'm gonna do it for like 2 months and I'm gonna do this amazing piece. It'll be so amazing. No, it's not. It's not gonna look good. And they wonder why. It's because, and then you ask them, yeah, I've been doing this for like 3 months now, and why am I not good as Ahmed Al-Dori or as good as Raj Joyce? Like, no, it's because they've been doing it for ages. It's unreasonable for you to compare yourself to, right? I don't know what it is, but art is, I think by the general public, it's like, yeah, it's this kind of thing that you do, it's whatever. And when they start, they without knowing how long it takes to be able to get good, they get so confused. Like, why am I not as good as this and that? You know, like, to be honest, if I knew how much time I would need to sink in to getting good at art, not saying that I'm good now, but I think that I'm, you know, better than average, at least. You know, the amount of time I put in to get to this point, I would probably not go through a drawing, right? But I did, and here I am, and I'm very happy about it, right? I'm very satisfied, and not very satisfied. I'm very thankful that I did. So, because I wouldn't be where I am now, right? But there's just so many hours and hours and hours of just drawing by myself or painting by myself. Like there was a lot of times where I just turned down invitations to do something, right? But again, I'm glad I did, because I am where I am now. Being resourceful, like there's so many times I get this question, it's like, where do you learn to draw, and how do you do this, and how do you do that? Really, everything you need is on YouTube, or at least to get you started, to get you very, very far. You could just search it up on YouTube. How to do perspective, the proportions of a face, how to render, and there's a lot of process videos you could watch and dissect for yourself. Right, it's exactly what I did to start out. Right, of course I did end up like joining a course or whatever, which is really cool. But really, like 90% of the things I learned are from YouTube, and just watching and observing and looking at other people's art and picking up that sense of design from looking at other people, right? And I think that's a really important thing to be able to do, and not so much rely on others or rely on feedback. Because if you get a feedback from yourself and a feedback from just watching a YouTube video, seeing what they say about, I don't know, someone else's work, or does your thinking match up with their thinking? It's all about just being resourceful. Not all about it. A huge part of it is just being resourceful. Yeah, getting critiques from other people and getting their opinion. But if you could do that with yourself and be critical, and the only way to be able to get that is from learning from outside sources, that is really, really valuable, right? Because you're always going to be there. You're always going to be able to see your own work, and you're your worst critic. And being able to educate yourself and being able to see your own mistakes is, again, super, super valuable, because you could have that instant feedback and fix it right away. You don't have to wait, I don't know, like an hour for someone to respond, or a couple days, or something like that. You could always be self-critical about it, and you could find all these resources. If it's not just from yourself, you can find all these resources from other people to be able to critique yourself. And that's such a big thing, because that'll really accelerate your ability to get better and seeing your own mistakes and all that, right? And sometimes if you ask someone else for a critique, like, how do you know that they're right or not? If it's not a trusted artist, right? Of course, if you're going online, you are learning from YouTube, you gotta make sure the person you're watching or something is credible, and if you like their stuff, that's good enough, right? Or if they're widely known, of course, that's gonna be a huge credibility thing. But sometimes when you ask just someone, it's not always going to be the best advice, right? But again, it's nice to have, because sometimes it could be something that is really valuable for you to know, even if it's just from someone online. I guess to like recap, always being comfortable. Know that getting better takes a long, long time, and be resourceful. You don't rely on other people to give you feedback. Rely on yourself to find your own feedback, right? So again, I never know how to end these off, so